at it as a playoff game. Seattle has basically just owned the Arizona Cardinals. They've won 6 straight. Last 10 years, Cardinals are 6-13-1. Doesn't matter where the game is, unfortunately, for Cardinals. Seattle's, I think this is slobber. That
Donnybrook slobber knocker.
That's what's going to be?
Very physical game.
You do think that?
Oh, yeah, I do.
Howard Balzer joins us now on the Right to a Guest line. Howard, what do you think? Is this going to be one of those slobber knockers, as Manuch would say?
I would suspect it will be, and obviously both teams know what's at stake in this one. I think all teams that are jockeying and hoping to enter the offseason treat it the same way. They treat it as this is playoff football because you're trying to establish that that good stretch in December to get you into the postseason. So Jonathan Gannon mentioned that earlier in the week, and that's the way it's viewed. And the bottom line is, the one thing I will say, guys, and I think I remember this when we would talk before the season and the expectations I had for this team. And one of the things I said was, if they can get through that early part of a very difficult schedule, and if they can enter, November, December with about a 500 record, then you're going to be in the hunt. And it all depends on how you finish the season. So it's, you're playing meaningful games in December, which obviously did not happen for the last 2 seasons. So we'll see how it all comes out. But the game 2 weeks ago was one of those type of games. I don't see any reason why this one won't be the same.
Howard, it's interesting. You see the defense kind of continue as usual, playing very well, I think. But after that bye, this offense is really, they moved the ball, but nowhere to be found in the red zone. What were they, 1 for 5 last week? I think 1 for 7 the last couple weeks. You look at it. What do you suspect has happened? What does Jonathan Gannon say in reference to the red zone woes, if you will?
Well, they're definitely present, and there's no doubt about it. And a big part of it certainly has been self-inflicted wounds. And when you get down to the 14-yard line in one of the trips on Sunday, then you get a holding penalty on first down. Now you have to try to overcome that. The final one was a killer, which most people, I was glad Kyler Murray was the first person Cardinal related to come out publicly say that false start on Tip Ryman at the 5-yard line was not a false start, but that's what they called. And now you're back at the 10 instead of moving the ball to the 2-yard line, close to the 2, because it should have been offside. But hey, the officials make mistakes for a lot of teams, but it's playing good football when you're down there. I will say this about the defense though, too, guys. When you look at the last 2 weeks, I mean, heck, they've had 5 sacks each week. They've done an excellent job against the run, and yet in both games, they haven't been able to get off the field late in those games and with the hope of winning it. Now, against the first game against Seattle, they were down a touchdown.
3.
But the Seahawks drove the field, took 8+ minutes off the clock, and kicked the field goal to give them a 2-score lead. This game, of course, was really difficult because you had the lead, but the defense gave up after just playing lights out for 2 and 3, about 2 2/3 quarters, however you want to do the math on that. The defense then couldn't get them off the field. They gave up a bunch of explosive plays, 9 in the last 3 possessions, and the Vikings went down the field and scored 17 points in those 3 possessions, and that won the game. So while the defense has showed a lot of improvement, you've got to finish games, and that's true on both sides of the ball. And if you don't do it in close games, which so many games are, then you're going to come out on the losing end of it.
Howard Balzer is our guest on the Right Toyota guest line. Howard, my question is this:
2.
How come Seattle has the Cardinals number? They've had it. They've had it for a long time. What the hell is happening here?
Yeah, it's a good question, really. And I think for a certain amount of it, the Cardinals haven't been that good a team. And, I don't know that they've been real good against the Rams and the 49ers overall either. They've won some games here and there, but for the most part, they were losing. I mean, heck, there's all those years in a row they were losing to the Rams. And so I think it's just that there were a couple decent years and they didn't finish well. And so I think it's just division football, really. And it comes down to it. You got, it sounds cliche to say you have to find a way to win those games. But when you get into the close ones, just like any other game, even if it's division or not, then you've got to you have to be in position to make that play. Get the team off the field. I was mentioning, the game last week, 4th and 5 that the Vikings had on that game-winning drive, and they made the play, and the Cardinals couldn't. So that's what it'll come down to. And they obviously need this game. They'll be glad to be home. I know that for sure, in terms of playing two tough road environments. But we'll see if they can make the fans happy with this one. So again, I don't think there's just one reason. I think it's that a lot of it is this has been a very, very good division for a number of years. And I mean, heck, look at the number of Super Bowls that these teams have been in when you go back over a number of years. So when you have that and you're not at that level, then majority of those games you're going to find ways to lose.
All right, I want to get out on this one. You've been covering the National Football League for close to 50 years. Bill Belichick's, being reported interviewing for the UNC job, North Carolina job. Is this, you think, just smoke and mirrors where, the AD at UNC is trying to create some hype about the job?
I can't imagine Bill Belichick coaching college football.
Yeah.
And, maybe, I mean, I guess you can never say never, but that would stun me. I mean, he has a hard enough time, with all the, and I don't want to call them cliches because they've worked, all the cliches about ignoring the noise and do your job and all that. That's hard enough with grown men and adults and mature guys to get that to happen. To have that with college kids, I don't see it. I just don't see it. Whatever the reason is, who knows? But I just, like I said, I can't imagine. And he certainly wouldn't take a college job unless he absolutely knows there's not going to be an NFL job for him. And I don't see any way that you could know that at this stage of the entire process. So yeah, that one to me is totally befuddling. But I want to say this before I leave. And when you talk about college, I don't know if you guys caught this, but I mean, we all just laugh and love, the approach of Kenny Dillingham. But I don't know if you guys caught at halftime that he's even in the world now of inventing words. And you know me, I love words, right? Well, at halftime of that game last week against UA, he's asked, well, what do you got to do now? What does the team have to do with that big lead? What do you have to do? And he says, well, we have to stay composed.
Composed.
I assume that's a combination of composed and poised. And he made it into one word. I thought that was classic. It's one that I'll never forget. And I don't know how many people caught it and noticed it, but you know me, I noticed those little ridiculous details. I thought it was hilarious.
Well, if he can, go back-to-back 10-win seasons and be the Big 12, coach of the year, he can say anything he wants. He can make up any word he wants.
He can be as poised as he wants to be.
Exactly.
That's right. Well, you know what? I think he's already done it to a degree, but I think that everybody should start compiling their notebooks and just have the Dillingham dictionary, right? Of all whether it's words, whether it's sayings, whether it's the way he approaches stuff. I mean, it's classic stuff. But man, that's going to be fun on Saturday, hopefully.
We appreciate you, man. Thanks for the time today.
All right, take care, guys.
Howard Balzer joining us here. Rock and Minuch with Jimmy B. Always appreciate his time on Thursdays. You can check him out. He's part of the USA Today Cards Wire, and he's on Twitter at HBBalzer721. Well, we were going to come back with a Throwback Thursday. Just 2 years ago this week, Kenny Dillingham was inked as the new head coach for Arizona State. But Jimmy B and Minuch trumped it.
Thank you.
With what you're about to hear next. It's Rock and Minuch, Jimmy B, Fox Sports 910.
You're clear. From the Valley Toyota Dealers Traffic Center.
Avondale, watch for a crash on the...
Yeah, do you just want... We'll go learn in a row, one call of the day, and I'll play...